My name is Ray Thunder, a retired NASA aerospace engineer. For 15 years, my wife, Lila, and I lived in the upscale neighborhood of Bright Oasis, a place that seemed idyllic until you crossed the Homeowners Association, HOA. Their rules governed everything. Mailboxes had to be desert taupe, lawns no taller than 2 inches, and only approved drought-resistant flowers could grace your yard. We complied, gritting our teeth through every absurd regulation. But when our daughter, Sage, visited after 6 months away, a single parking mistake sparked a battle that would topple an 8-year reign of terror and ignite a movement to reform HOAs across America. What state are you reading from? I bet your HOA has its own power-hungry types. We've heard from people in all 50 states who faced similar tyrants. What happened in Bright Oasis could happen anywhere. Let me tell you how it unfolded. Sage, 36, pulled into our driveway at noon in her modified military Jeep, her face etched with exhaustion. She'd just finished a 72-hour training session with Navy SEALs, where she specialized in tactical operations and survival psychology, then driven 3 hours to visit us. Her hazel eyes were bloodshot, her movements deliberate but weary. "Dad, can you help with these boxes?" she called, unloading a new security system for our home after recent break-ins nearby. She parked in the visitor spot, allowed for only 30 minutes. We were halfway through unloading when her phone rang. Her expression shifted, serious, focused. "I need to take this," she said. It was a SEAL trainee in a PTSD crisis, triggered by the anniversary of a brutal operation. For 25 minutes, Sage sat on our couch, guiding him through breathing exercises, coordinating with his base's crisis team. Her voice was calm, authoritative, the kind that could anchor someone in chaos. By the time she hung up, she was drained, and we'd forgotten about the Jeep. Lila brought Sage water and ibuprofen, urging her to eat. We were about to sit for lunch when the doorbell erupted in an aggressive pounding. "Who's that?" I muttered, expecting a delivery. Instead, it was Victor Slade, the HOA's self-appointed security chief, dressed in a knockoff police uniform with a poorly sewn HOA patch. At 58, Slade, a former mall security guard fired for roughing up a teen, lived to enforce Bright Oasis's rules with sadistic glee. "Your daughter's vehicle's been in the visitor spot for 43 minutes, he barked, clipboard in hand, pen digging into a violation notice. "That's 13 minutes over. I've called a tow truck, $300 for the tow, $500 fine, Section 4.2 of the regulations." His mirrored sunglasses hid eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Sage appeared beside me, wiping her hands on a towel, her military bearing instinctive despite her fatigue. "I'm sorry, sir," she said, her tone polite but firm. "I just finished a long training session and a 3-hour drive. I needed to unload equipment for my parents and got caught on an emergency call. I'll move it in 15 minutes after I eat." Slade's scowl deepened. For 8 years, since HOA President Olivia Grant appointed him, he'd terrorized residents. Kids feared him. Seniors avoided him. "The rules say 30 minutes, he snapped. "No exceptions. Pay up or lose the Jeep." Sage's eyes narrowed slightly, a subtle sign I recognized from her teenage years when pushed too far. "Mr. Slade, surely there's room for accommodation. I've been helping my elderly parents after driving on no sleep. I just need 15 minutes. Instead of responding, Slade pulled out his phone, recording inches from Sage's face, trying to provoke her. "I'm documenting your refusal to comply," he said, his voice mock official. "This'll cost you more." Sage sighed, choosing de-escalation. "I'm not refusing. I'm requesting accommodation. I'll move it soon." She turned to go inside. That's when Slade grabbed her arm, his fingers digging in. "You don't walk away from me," he shouted. A neighbor peeked out their window. In a flash, Sage's training kicked in. With precise movements, she twisted free, disarmed Slade's grip, and sent him stumbling into Lila's rose bushes. His sunglasses flew off, revealing shocked, watery eyes. The neighborhood paused, stunned. "You assaulted a security officer." Slade screamed, scrambling up, thorns snagging his uniform. "I'm getting the real police." He stormed off, dropping citation papers. Sage looked shaken. "I didn't mean to do that," she said quietly. "It was muscle memory. When someone grabs you like that," she trailed off. We didn't know that 20 minutes later, Slade would return with a hidden Glock, and aim it at her head. We were still processing when car doors slammed outside. "He's back," I said, peering through the curtains. Slade marched up our driveway, not alone this time. With him were Tim Larson, a timid retired accountant cowed by Slade's threats, and Elena Morales, a new resident and child psychologist who looked confused, likely fed a false story about trespassers. Sage composed herself, using a seal breathing technique. "Let me handle this," she said, her voice now in instructor mode. She positioned herself protectively between us and the door. The doorbell rang, followed by Slade's shout, "Security. Come out now." His tone mimicked TV cop shows. Sage opened the door, stepping onto the porch to block entry. Then it happened. Slade reached into his jacket and drew a Glock 19, pointing it at Sage's face. His hands shook, fear, adrenaline, or inexperience. "Get down," he yelled, aping police commands. Tim paled, Elena gasped, stepping back. "You didn't say anything about guns," she stammered. I froze in the doorway, heart pounding. Sage didn't flinch. In 2 seconds, she assessed, 12-foot distance, Tim and Elena's positions, Slade's trembling trigger finger, neighbors watching, escape routes. Her voice cut through the tension, steady and commanding. "Mr. Slade, you're committing a felony. Lower your weapon now. I'm the law here." Slade shouted, spittle flying, the gun wavering dangerously. Sage shifted her weight, using hostage negotiation tactics. "I understand you feel disrespected," she said calmly, taking a small step forward. "Let's talk without the gun. Is a parking space worth prison?" Slade's grip tightened, a sign he might fire. In that instant, Sage moved. With seal-trained precision, she struck his wrist, deflected the muzzle, and twisted his arm, seizing the Glock in 8 seconds of tense struggle. Slade yelled, fighting back, but Sage pinned him face down on the lawn, the gun secured, her finger off the trigger. "Call 911, she instructed me, calm as ever. "Tell them an armed assault occurred, the weapon secured, and the suspect may still be dangerous." Across the street, neighbors were on their phones. Lila gasped behind me. Tim and Elena stood frozen, horrified. Officer Martinez arrived, finding Sage restraining Slade amid scattered violation notices and crushed roses. Sage explained with military clarity, Slade's threat, her disarming him for safety. "The firearms secured," she said, noting the cleared chamber and removed magazine. Martinez, impressed by her professionalism, took notes. Slade, cuffed in the patrol car, ranted about his authority. Martinez promised to collect witness statements. We felt relief. Briefly. At the police station, giving our statements, the mood shifted. Officers whispered, exchanging looks. Then Olivia Grant arrived with Police Chief Baxter, striding in like they owned the place. Olivia, in her pristine suit, was married to Baxter's golf buddy, and the HOA funneled donations to the police fund, money that never reached community projects. "There's a misunderstanding," Baxter announced, barely glancing at the paperwork. Slade was doing his duty when attacked. To our disbelief, Slade was uncuffed, his gun returned. Baxter clapped his shoulder like a pal. He pointed a loaded gun at my daughter. I protested. Baxter's cold stare silenced me. "Slade says he felt threatened by your daughter's combat training. It's her word against his." Olivia smirked. That night, we learned an emergency HOA meeting was set to vote on evicting us for endangering community safety. The agenda painted Sage as unstable, a threat to Bright Oasis. Sage didn't panic. She called Lucas Kim, her college friend and a civil rights attorney specializing in HOA overreach. "This isn't about parking," she told him, pacing our living room. "They're running a fiefdom, with the police in their pocket." Lucas arrived the next day, armed with legal documents. Neighbors avoided us, fear palpable. The HOA's reign of terror was well known. The Martinezes fined 4 noisy kids, the Wilsons harassed after questioning fees, the elderly Carters forced to sell their home after relentless violations, later bought cheap by Olivia's brother. Sage and Lucas uncovered Slade's sealed assault record and ties to Baxter. They found evidence of past residents driven out, their homes flipped for profit. This wasn't just tyranny. It was a real estate scam. Our mailbox overflowed with fines. $500 for a quarter-inch tall lawn, $1,000 for Sage's security camera, $10,000 for community disturbance. HOA inspectors, Slade's cronies, patrolled our home, photographing everything. Our water was cut off for maintenance, affecting only us. Electricity warnings followed. "They're trying to break us," Sage said, flashlight illuminating her determined face after our porch lights failed an inspection. "But I've found something big. Slade and Olivia have been embezzling HOA funds, and some went to Baxter." Slade's harassment escalated. His patrol car parked outside, headlights blazing into our bedrooms, engine revving at night. He tailed Lila to the store. Absurd violations piled up, our mailbox angle was off, our window trim unapproved, our bird feeder attracted non-native birds. One morning, our garden was destroyed, plants uprooted, Lila's bench smashed, followed by a $1,000 fine for unsightly conditions. Lila struggled to sleep, jumping at noises. But Sage stayed focused, her SEAL training built for this pressure. She installed hidden cameras, catching Slade sabotaging our sprinklers to inflate our water bill. Sage and Lucas worked with Clara and Gwyn, a former HOA treasurer with evidence of financial fraud. The HOA collected $600,000 yearly, but funds vanished into $75,000 security, Slade's salary, $120,000 consulting to Olivia's shell company. Inflated contracts to their allies, safety fund, payments to Baxter's campaign. They've stolen $250,000 in 5 years, Lucas said. This is fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. Sage held secret meetings at Lucas's home, where residents shared stories of harassment. The Martinezes were fined for kids playing. Mrs. Wilson's autistic son was targeted. The Patels faced immigration threats. Clara revealed emails between Olivia and Slade plotting to cleanse the neighborhood of undesirables, elderly, minority, or vocal residents, through selective rule enforcement. Former Judge Henry Carter, 70, provided a timeline of 24 families forced out, their homes bought cheap by Olivia's network. Olivia makes the rules, Slade enforces them, Baxter buries complaints, he said. They're profiting while we suffer. Lucas built a legal case, contacting the FBI about Baxter's corruption. This is systemic, he told Sage. We've got enough for a federal probe. We were still processing when car doors slammed outside. He's back, I said, peering through the curtains. Slade marched up our driveway, not alone this time. With him were Tim Larson, a timid retired accountant cowed by Slade's threats, and Elena Morales, a new resident and child psychologist who looked confused, likely fed a false story about trespassers. Sage composed herself, using a SEAL breathing technique. Let me handle this, she said, her voice now in instructor mode. She positioned herself protectively between us and the door. The doorbell rang, followed by Slade's shout, security. Come out now. His tone mimicked TV cop shows. Sage opened the door, stepping onto the porch to block entry. Then it happened. Slade reached into his jacket and drew a Glock 19, pointing it at Sage's face. His hand shook, fear, adrenaline, or inexperience. Get down, he yelled, aping police commands. Tim paled, Elena gasped, stepping back. You didn't say anything about guns, she stammered. I froze in the doorway, heart pounding. Sage didn't flinch. In 2 seconds, she assessed, 12-foot distance, Tim and Elena's positions, Slade's trembling trigger finger, neighbors watching, escape routes. Her voice cut through the tension, steady and commanding. Mr. Slade, you're committing a felony. Lower your weapon now. I'm the law here. Slade shouted, spittle flying, the gun wavering dangerously. Sage shifted her weight, using hostage negotiation tactics. I understand you feel disrespected, she said calmly, taking a small step forward. Let's talk without the gun. Is a parking space worth prison? Slade's grip tightened, a sign he might fire. In that instant, Sage moved. With SEAL-trained precision, she struck his wrist, deflected the muzzle, and twisted his arm, seizing the Glock in 8 seconds of tense struggle. Slade yelled, fighting back, but Sage pinned him face down on the lawn, the gun secured, her finger off the trigger. Call 911, she instructed me, calm as ever. Tell them an armed assault occurred, the weapon secured, and the suspect may still be dangerous. Across the street, neighbors were on their phones. Lila gasped behind me. Tim and Elena stood frozen, horrified. Over months, justice unfolded. Slade faced multiple felonies, taking a 5-year plea deal to testify against Baxter. Olivia got 3 years, her wealth seized to repay $300,000 in stolen funds. Baxter resigned, indicted for corruption. Families like the Carters received compensation from seized assets. The case sparked statewide HOA investigations, exposing a national trend of corruption. Bright Oasis elected a new board, led by Sophia Cruz, a community management expert. She slashed fees by 40%, rewrote bylaws for transparency, and added resident oversight. The Thunder Standard became a model for HOA reform. Elena Morales apologized to Sage, becoming a friend and helping residents process trauma. Sage and Lucas launched Community Shield, a non-profit offering free legal aid, training, and advocacy against HOA abuse. Using her SEAL expertise, Sage created guides on documenting harassment and building legal cases. Within a year, Community Shield helped 30 communities nationwide recover funds and oust corrupt boards. Bright Oasis became a case study in governance, with professionals studying its reforms. Sage traveled, leading workshops on empowerment, her story inspiring a documentary on HOA abuse. On the one-year anniversary, Bright Oasis celebrated in the renovated community center. Residents shared stories of resilience, kids played freely, and a new sign read, "Welcome to Bright Oasis, a community united." Sage addressed the crowd, "The greatest enemies aren't always overseas. They're the tyrants in our neighborhoods. True power comes from communities united." The standing ovation brought tears to my eyes. Driving home, Sage smiled at the sign. "I never thought a Jeep would lead to this," she said. But small actions can spark big change. Community Shield now operates in 42 states, with Sage balancing her SEAL training and advocacy. Our story, born from a parking mistake, fuels a movement to reclaim communities from tiny tyrants.